Hi you guys, my name is Cyan Martin and welcome. No, my name is officially now Cyan Gore, so I need to get used to saying that, but welcome. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For this week, I decided to do a little fun video idea where basically I'm going to let a color wheel choose a color, and then whatever color we land on, I have to pick a book that is that color. I thought this would be fun because I'm terrible at deciding what I want to read, and this kind of helps me to decide. So that's what we're doing for this week. I thought it would be a little fun idea, and we're gonna get started. The way I'm going to do this actually is I'm going to figure out all the colors that we have. So like I'm gonna spin the wheel, we're gonna figure out what color it lands on, and then I'm gonna show two options that I could choose for that book, and I'm gonna let you guys kind of guess. I don't have time to sit down and spin the wheel every day after I read, so we're just gonna get all of the colors out of the way and the book options. That'll be kind of fun. You can kind of guess which one you think I'm gonna end up reading in this video. If you follow me on Goodreads, you probably already know what I chose, so just play along. But yeah, that is what we're doing. So we're gonna go ahead and start off. I'm going to pick 4 colors for this week, so let's do the first one. Oh, okay. So first off, we have green. Obviously, you can't see that. I'll have it up on the screen, but we got green. Thinking maybe Daisy Hates. I do kind of want to finish this series, or, you know, get as close as I can. The spine is green, the front is green, but I also have Fear the Flames, which is a book that I've already started months ago, and I literally don't know what happened in it at all, but I'm also kind of out of my fantasy mood and more in a romance mood, so we'll see what I decide. But these are the two options. Go ahead, take your guess. Which one do you think I might like more or end up picking in this video? We'll see. And then we're gonna spin again. Orange. Obviously, we have Caught Up by Liz Tomford. We also have The Other Side of Disappearing. I think this is a romance as well, but also it's like these two sisters, their mom just kind of disappears from their life and they're trying to find her. I got sent this book, but that premise actually really does sound interesting, like a romance with a little bit of a mystery in there. I don't know. Am I gonna be in the mood for this, or am I gonna want to finish the Where I'm At in the Windy City series? I don't know. We'll see. Let's spin our third color. Blue. I was actually hoping that I would get blue because I feel like I have a lot of blue books. This is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I'm a little nervous because we all know how I feel about slower paced, people-driven books. They're not my favorite things to read. And I also think this is historical fiction. I did love history in school, but is a whole brick of a book gonna be my thing about it? Since I have already chosen 2 potential romances, we're gonna stick to a fantasy for this one. Fate of the Sun King. I have already read the first 2 books in the series. The first one I really loved. The second one I was a little disappointed by. So I don't know. This one's like the thickest out of the series too. I do want to jump back into it. I'm just not sure when. And then we also have this, which I'm a little bit skeptical of. Am I really choosing great options for myself? Not really. I feel like every book I have pulled, I'm a little bit like, I don't know. These are gonna be the options that I choose. Maybe one of these this week. You'll just have to see. And then we have one more to pick from. What color are we gonna get? Oh, we have white. You know what? I'm gonna stick this one in there because it seems very short. Like the writing is also so big, and I feel like I might have to read some chunkier books this week, so we're gonna stick this in here. Let's also go with Throttled because I feel like I could read this one pretty quick. So 2 more romances. Would you look at that? These are gonna be our options for the white pick. So now that I have a ton of options that I could potentially read for the week, take your guesses on what you think I'm gonna read if you haven't yet, and let's get into it. Let's start reading. The very first book that I want to read for this video is actually going to be Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. I'm going to be so honest, I started this book maybe like 2 months ago and just haven't been reading recently. I don't remember anything that happened at all. I am on chapter 11, and here's the thing. Chapter 11 is page 94. Do I really want to restart this whole book from the beginning and have to read 100 pages plus like however many that is? No. So, I'm going to read the back real quick and maybe it'll refresh my memory. Maybe I can tell you guys something. Oh, okay. So, I feel like I do kind of remember. In this one, we're following Eowyn and we're also getting Caden's point of views. Eowyn is the princess of this kingdom, right? And she has a magical bond to 5 dragons. Her father thought that she was too powerful, so for her whole life, she has been locked away. She escapes and she basically forms like her own kingdom, but because it's like a brand new kingdom, her people are starving. So she makes a deal with Caden, who is the commander of like the rival kingdom. She makes a deal with him, and basically they're going to get her dragons back and stop her father. So we've got enemies to lovers going on. We've got the whole daddy issues as him being a bad king, which we have seen many a times. But we also have dragons, which is fun. I haven't seen the dragons at all yet, but I love anything that has to do with dragons. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, so I feel like if I get to see more dragons, it'll make it worth it to me, but I don't know. We'll just have to see how it goes. So I am excited to get back into it. Hopefully I'm not too confused, but I'm also like always confused. We'll see what happens. Yesterday, I did read quite a lot of Fear the Flames. I got to page 444, chapter 45, and so far I'm liking this book. I feel like, though, not a lot is happening plot-wise. I also think that when it comes to enemies to lovers, I'm realizing that they pretty quickly got past the enemy stage. Not that they were like, you know, together fully, but their feelings were starting to develop kind of early on. And also, they weren't true enemies. Like, the main reason they were enemies is because they were from different kingdoms, and their common goal was to take over her father's kingdom and get rid of him, basically. So, like, they weren't true enemies, you know? Like, they had a common goal, and they only really didn't like each other because of different circumstances. I like when they are true enemies. Like, they absolutely hate each other. I like when he does bad things and then later on you find out like, oh, those things that he did actually were for a good reason. I just like when that happens. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I like when you truly don't like him and then eventually you start to like him as a character, and that's just not happening in this book. It's not that kind of enemies to lovers. That is not a bad thing, though. Like, it's not ruining the book for me. I'm still having a good time. Of course, with most fantasies, we are just seeing a lot of world building, plotting, and not too much action. We also haven't really seen the dragons at all, so I don't know. I'm still liking it, though. Like, I'm not bored at all. I think this book might just set up for a good second book or for the rest of the series. Like, it might be one of those things. I hate to compare, but we're gonna compare. Akatar, the first book, a lot of people do not like, but the rest of the series completely makes up for it. And since this is the first book in the series, I feel like maybe it's just setting us up for a spectacular series, if that makes sense at all. I think that's how it's gonna be. This one is not my absolute favorite fantasy. It has things that we've seen before, but like I said, I'm not bored or anything. It's just, it's not hitting, you know? But I still like it. It's just, yeah. Those are my thoughts so far, but I'm gonna finish today and maybe start our second book. We'll see. I have finished Fear the Flames. It's not anything transcendent, might I say. The author did do a good job at taking things that I've seen before and making it new in a way. Like, I wasn't bored by any means. It's just, it still wasn't mind-blowing. I do think that the rest of the series has great potential to be good because I am excited to see what happens. We didn't really get to see the dragons towards the end of the book, so that's really what I'm holding on to here, is I really just want to see what happens with these dragons. I'm hoping the rest of the series is good and that the dragons bring a little bit more to it. And also with these characters, you know, they just kind of got together a little bit too fast, in my opinion. Like, if you're going to be an enemies to lovers series, I don't think the characters should get together in the first book. That is just my opinion. Or if they do, maybe something happens to turn them against each other again, which I have seen in other books too. That's just my preferred enemies to lovers when I read any type of fantasy book with that trope. So those are my thoughts on it though. It still was entertaining, and it does seem like this series has the potential once again to have great found family and great action scenes, but in this one it was just a lot of behind the scenes that we were getting, which I understand because it's the first book. You kind of need that stuff to understand these characters better and to grow to like them more and understand the world and everything and the politics of it all. So I can't fault it for that. I am going to say that I am just excited for a second book to come out, even though I don't know when that's going to be. Probably not anytime soon, and I'm probably going to forget everything that happened in this book by the time the second one does come out. But it's still like, it made me want more from her. So because of that, I am kind of at a crossroads of what to rate it. I think I'm going to give it like a 3.5. And yeah, my reasoning behind that is literally everything that I just told you about it. So that's that. But I'm going to take a break from reading now, and who knows, maybe I'll start our next book later tonight or maybe tomorrow. I guess you'll have to wait and see in a second. Okay, so earlier I did go ahead and start caught up, and I'm already like 50% of the way through. I'm on chapter 22, page 188. This whole series is just like fun, easy reads that I tend to get through really quickly. This one follows Kai and Miller. Kai is in the MLB, and he actually knows the characters from the other books because they all lived in a similar apartment complex, so that's how we're introduced to him in the other books. But in this book, he is a single dad, and he needs a nanny for his son because he's very overprotective, so he's been firing like all of his nannies. And he meets Miller. Miller is actually the manager of the baseball team that he plays on, and his daughter Miller is coming to town for a little while, so she ends up being his new nanny. I think once again it is something that we've seen over and over again, but I will always love a single dad nanny trope, especially when the dad is a little bit more uptight and the nanny is not your typical nanny. You know, like, I love when nannies are a little bit more outspoken, like they always say what's on their mind. They might not be the most mature character, but they bring out a little bit more of a fun side to the dad, and that is what is happening in this book. Miller is also like a professional pastry chef, I want to say, and she lives in a van, so like she definitely has more of a spunky personality, and I really like their dynamic, and their banter with each other is just so good. I love a funny female character. It reminds me of like Willa in the Chestnut Springs series. She's one of my favorite characters from like any book because of her personality. She's just so funny to me, so I like when our female characters are like that, because sometimes I find them a little bland, but I like her character, and especially because it's not in like an annoying way. It's almost like you have the spunky personalities where they're a little childish and like annoying a little bit, and then you have the spunky personalities where they're a little bit just like inappropriate, and I like it when they're a little inappropriate. So that is what Miller is like, if I'm explaining this correctly. While she's babysitting, he is also playing baseball, of course, so they are traveling, and then they have to have like conjoined hotel suites or whatever, so there is a little bit of that forced proximity, which I like as well, and you can just feel the tension. But the thing is, if I've learned anything about this series, I've learned that her third act breakups tend to just draw the book out, and it feels like forever, and I don't love it. So we will see how this one is handled, and hopefully it's different because I really enjoy it so far and I don't want to get bored. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep reading. So as you can tell, I did finish Caught Up this morning, and I liked this a lot. I just feel the same way that I felt earlier when I was talking about it. Like, I like their banter, I love their personalities separately and together. The kid was not annoying because the kid couldn't even talk yet, and I liked just everything about it. I don't know. And there's also like this found family. I love a sports romance when everyone on the team has their own separate personalities too, and then they come together and it's just like a good found family. Even though all of the books are different sports, the first one, what is it? Hockey. The second one is basketball, and then this one is MLB, and they're not all like on the exact same team. They just play for the same city but different sports. They still found a way to like form their own found family, and I love that all the books in the series are different sports because that way it just keeps it a little bit more interesting. Not that they show or talk about the sports a lot in these books, but it's just, I don't know, it is better than all of them being a hockey romance or something like that. So I do enjoy that aspect of it. And also, like, Kai is just, I like him a lot, okay? And he literally looks like Clark Kent, apparently, with the glasses and everything. So yeah, I don't know. I was smiling while reading this book. It didn't drag out for me like the other books really, really did. The third act breakup was understandable. And yeah, I don't know. I think this is my favorite out of the series. So I'm going to give this one a 4 stars, I think. That is that one, and it is still really early in the day. So I am going to start our next book, and I decided to pick The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I am nervous about reading this. Number one, it's chunky. Number two, it's a historical fiction. I don't really know how I feel about that because I know for a fact that this is probably going to be more of a people-driven book because fictions typically are. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. I read Tomorrow, and I did not like that book because it was mostly people-driven. And there are some books that I do really like when they're people driven. Can I think of an example right now? Absolutely not. Would you expect anything less? Not really. But I just know myself, so I am super nervous, but everyone's been loving this author recently, so I just want to see if I like it as well. And if I don't, you know, it's not the end of the world because as every single book influencer will say, reading is subjective. So if you can't tell, I don't really have high hopes. I'm kind of actually really scared. So we're gonna just go ahead and get into it. I have no idea what it's about, so I am going in blind. But I think they all have to do with war, and I think her main characters are always females. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure it out together. Okay, so first and foremost, let me just give an official apology to Kristen Hanna and anyone who loves this book because I doubted it because I'm loving it. I am only on page 122, chapter 10, right? Yeah. But I am really enjoying this. So we are following two sisters, Vivian, and I already forgot the other one's name. It's not Vivian, it's Vianne, and Isabel. It's not Vivian? I keep saying Vivian in my head, it's Vianne. Anyways, her and Isabel, they are both sisters who live in France during the time of World War II, and we all know what happens, unless you don't, but I feel like we all should. During World War II, the Germans are now occupying France, and they are both having to deal with this. Neither of them are actually Jewish themselves, but it's like from an outsider's point of view of, even if you're not Jewish, what you had to deal with during this time. So both of the sisters, their home has been invaded, and they both have very different ideas and morals, and they're just very different in general. So we have Vianne, who is more of like the settled down sister. She has a family to worry about. Her husband is off fighting in the war, and she is just trying to keep her home together for her children. And then you also have Isabel, who is more like the wild child. She doesn't have any children. She's a good bit younger, and she wants to like fight and help out in her own way, but she just doesn't know what to do right now. So we're following both of them, and it's so interesting. It is told in third person point of view, but I'm still enjoying it. Like, you're getting both sides of the story, but from third person, if that makes sense. It does. It totally makes sense. I don't know why I doubt myself all the time. Anyways, we're getting both of their point of views, and right now there is, I'm not gonna say it because it's gonna ruin the plot. I'm going to give my opinion out of context, okay? What is his name? What is his name? Beck. Captain Beck? I have a feeling he's playing games, and I don't like him, and I don't trust him. I also feel like at this current moment, Vianne is a little bit too submissive in a way, but I totally understand why, because like literally what else are you supposed to do in this situation? I do feel bad for her. And also Isabel just needs to be careful. I understand what she's doing, but in this time, like, that could be so reckless and you could just cause more damage than anything. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this, and I know that in a book like this, people are gonna die and I'm gonna be sad, and there's just no way it's gonna have a happy ending, you know? So I'm a little bit worried, but I'm just gonna keep reading. So I am on chapter 27, page 386, and we still have a lot to go, and like a lot has happened in this book. It is mostly people driven, but you've also got all these different plots going on, and it's just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and it's like no one can win, and something really big just happened with Isabel, and I'm scared. I am so scared about what's going to happen in this book, because I know it's going to pull at my heartstrings even more than it already has. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. I'm not gonna lie. And I know that it's not real, but the thing, like, is that in a sense it is, because this stuff most likely did happen to people in real life. And there's also just like a lot of lessons in here, and I've seen a lot of growth from Vianne, and I've realized that she's not as complicit, I guess, as I thought she was. And Isabel is still being a little bit reckless, but like, I get it. I understand why she is, because she is so brave. But I'm just like, oh my goodness, you are gonna get yourself in so much trouble. And I don't want anything bad to happen to these two sisters. Like, even though they themselves are not that close, I don't want anything bad to happen to either of them. And there's also just like a lot that I don't know either. Like, her, Vianne's husband, what's going on there, you know? I don't know. We'll just have to keep reading and see what happens. But I feel like a book has not affected me this much in a very long time like this book has. So do with that information what you will if you decide to read this book. Something so simple can be so heartbreaking. If you've read this book, you'll understand, but if not, it says in her son's bedroom, and then in parentheses, no, comma, not her son's. Why is that so sad and heartbreaking? You're strong. We have to be. We love him, but he's not ours. Oh my god, I'm literally about to cry. I think this is like the first time I've ever cried on this channel. Oh my god. I need to chill out and breathe because why is this so sad? Why are you doing this to me? Oh my gosh. Got the cameras. Okay, so last night I did finish reading The Nightingale, and this book, you guys, I feel like I experienced all 5 stages of grief throughout this book. These two sisters just could not catch a break, and I loved it so much. It definitely is more of like a sad book. I felt like you didn't really get a happy ending, but by the end I felt at peace with what happened and the way that it ended, and it was just so good. I've never felt so emotional while reading a book like I did this one. I definitely recommend it. I would give it 5 stars, and if you love history and you want to read about the lives of people during World War II, I think you would like this book as well. It was just so good, so I highly recommend it. This morning I just need a break though, so after reading such a heavy book, I am going to move on, and today I'm going to start Manhunt. This was such a random purchase. I just saw the cover and I thought it was cute. I don't know if it's gonna be any good. I haven't seen anyone really talk about it, but it is a romance and it's small town, which small town romances are my absolute favorite. So I am going to start this one. Know nothing about it, but we'll just see how it goes because I definitely need something light and fluffy to end off this video. Parker! Naughty girls get spanked. Okay, so it's a good bit later, and I did end up finishing Manhunt by Vanessa Vale, and this book was so bad. So in this book, we are following Bridget and Maverick. Yes, his name is Maverick. They work together. He is her boss. He's a little bit older. She is filling out a sex quiz online for one of her girls' nights out, and she accidentally ends up emailing it to him, and now he's like hooked. He wants to fulfill all her fantasies and stuff like that, and it is just awful. It is probably one of the worst things I've ever read. It is so cheesy and cringy. The way they interact with one each other, it was very insta-lovey, and also they just wanted to sleep together. Like, there was no emotional connection at all involved in this book, and I hated every single second of it. Did I keep reading it because I was intrigued? Yes, but that doesn't make it good at all. I just did not like this one bit. He was also very possessive of her. Like, whenever they would go out and another guy would look at her or anything like that, it was just cringy the way that he did it though, because I've seen that in other books and it didn't bother me as much as it did in this one. And the way they talked and interacted and the smut scenes were so cringy. I actually got secondhand embarrassment while reading them. So yeah, this one was not very good, and I hate that I'm just like shitting on this book, but for me personally, this is probably like a 2-star because I was entertained in the fact that I just giggled and laughed the whole time. But yeah, it wasn't good, so don't recommend it. But that is it for this video. We had some really good books this week, and then that one dud. So yeah, that is it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought, if you read any of these books, any recommendations. Of course, I'm always welcoming them, you know, give them to me. And that is it. I will see you all in the next video. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye!